when you want to get ready. Good morning, everyone. My name is Danny Fan, and I'll be the hearing officer today for San Francisco Public Works. Nathan Rodas is the clerk of this hearing. This hearing is being recorded via Zoom and will be available afterward through a link on the San Francisco Public Works website, sfpublicworks.org. As this is a virtual hearing, there is no sign-in sheet. So if you would like to receive information about the results of this hearing, please send an email to the email address listed on the hearing notice. This public hearing today is being held to consider two items. Order 206640 is to consider a major encroachment permit request from Sunnydale Infrastructure LLC for the Sunnydale Hope Development Area. The other order is Order 206649 to consider the tentative approval of a surface-mounted facility site permit at 2797 Bryant Street. My job as a hearing officer is to gather the facts for the hearing item, listen to your testimonies, and help our Director of Public Works make determinations. I will not be making any decisions today. Instead, I will forward the findings from this hearing and make my recommendation to the director, and the director will make the final determinations. The director's determinations are made, the department will notify you of them if you have provided contact information. The hearing will proceed as follows for these two cases. I will first ask Public Works staff to present their case first. Then I will allow the property owner or appellant or applicant to speak. Then any member of the public or witness who wants to speak. Then the department, if the department would like to address any comments, and finally the property owner again, if the person has any rebuttals. Each speaker will have up to 3 minutes to speak. The clerk will monitor the time for all speakers and will indicate when the speaker has 30 seconds left. If you are party to this proceeding, I will call on you to speak. If you'd like to use any visual materials in your presentation, please let me know before you speak, and you will then have the standard 3 minutes to provide your comments. If you're a member of the public or witness who wants to speak, wait for me to call for public comments, then use the Zoom's raise your hand feature if you're on a computer, or dial *9 to indicate you're raising your hand if you're on the phone. Comments and questions should be addressed to me and not to the department or the applicant. If you cannot finish your comments within the allotted time, you may submit written testimony to me by the end of this hearing. If I feel that a question is warranted, I will ask the question. After all comments are completed, I will close the item. We will now begin this hearing. First up is Order 206640. May I have the department make its presentation?
Good. Excuse me a second. Good morning, hearing officer. This is John Kwong from Public Works. What we have received from the applicant, the Sunnydale Infrastructure LLC, who is part of the group to construct and develop the Sunnydale Hope project for a master major encroachment. The Sunnydale project is for the Sunnydale Hope area. It is to be constructed in phases. And as part of this initial phase, for phase 1, the applicant has identified a variety of elements they are proposing to put in the public right-of-way. There is one retaining wall with footing and a fence to support an adjacent neighbor. There are currently irrigation lines and irrigation crossovers to irrigate street trees and other landscaping. There are some temporary sewers and other facilities in the public right-of-way. They are proposing community gateways, something that you would typically see as an example, what you see in front of, in Larkin Street, the little Saigon, those little piers and posts, along with other similar locations that we've seen in St. Francis Woods. For those facilities, is going to be proposed to be placed there. Those will all be maintained by the developer, in this case, Sunnydale Infrastructure LLC, and the successors in interest. Further, and finally, the development team wants to take over the maintenance and liability responsibility for the sidewalk area. That's for all the affordable housing elements being constructed within the Sunnydale Hope area. Typically, the maintenance and liability responsibility for these sidewalks are placed on the fronting property owner. In this case, it will be placed upon the developer, who will be overseeing all of the Sunnydale Hope projects moving forward. The these elements has been reviewed by Public Works, and we've determined that the proposals are technically feasible. And we would recommend that we approve this major encroachment permit at a technical level and forward it to the full board for their approval. This concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. I have no questions. Is the property owner present and would they like to speak? Seeing none. Is there anyone from the public or witness who wants to speak? Oh, I see. Dare, you can speak.
Yeah, hi, thank you. Sorry about the delay. This is Rainey Dare. I'm speaking on behalf of Sunnydale Infrastructure. And just to say I'm available for questions, but we're really pleased to be able to offer this permit request to the city for consideration and appreciate your work on this.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone from the public who wants to speak? Seeing none. If there are no more comments for this item, I will now close the item and make my recommendations to the director. Thank you. The next order is order 206649 to consider the tentative approval of a service mounted facility site permit at 2797 Bryant Street. May I have the department please make their presentation?
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi.
Good morning, we can hear you.
Okay, great. I have a slide.
Yeah.
Okay, can you guys see it?
Yes.
All right, I'll continue. Good morning, I'm Leo Palacios, representing Public Works Bureau of Street Use and Mapping. So surface mounted facilities are utility facilities that are installed directly in the public sidewalk above the surface of a street. Public Works issues surface mounted facilities for standalone personal wireless service facilities under Public Works Code Article 27 and Public Works Order 206-293. Public Works has scheduled this hearing today for Verizon Wireless Service Mounted Facility Application 22SMF0003. The application is for a standalone personal wireless service facility at 2797 Bryant Street. The issue in this hearing is to consider whether Public Works should approve. The issue in this hearing is whether Public Works should approve Verizon Wireless waiver of the pre-application approval process and Verizon Wireless proposed location for its standalone pole for a personal wireless service facility, which you could see on my screen. As authorized under Public Works Order 206-293, Section 3D, Public Works approved Verizon Wireless request to waive the Article 27 community meeting requirement after finding that the application met the criteria for a waiver contained in Public Works Order 206-293, Sections 3D1 and 2. In particular, Public Works found under Section 3D1 that there are no existing utility poles or other poles Verizon Wireless could use to install its personal wireless service facilities within a 200-foot radius of Verizon Wireless proposed location. The proposed location is not within a 200-foot of an existing personal wireless service facility in the public right-of-way. The proposed location meets the placement criteria for standalone poles, and the proposed personal wireless service facility meets the design criteria. After weighing the criteria in Section 3D2, Public Works also found that on balance, they supporting granting the waiver. Those criteria are that the proposed location for the standalone pole is the optimal location for Verizon to meet its service needs in the immediate vicinity. Verizon Wireless made reasonable efforts to determine whether one or more other telecommunication services providers have a need for a personal wireless service facility within 200 feet of the proposed location. And the proposed location is in close proximity to the point of connection for power to minimize trenching. Therefore, the Bureau of Street Use and Mapping allowed Verizon Wireless to mail and post a notice of hearing on waiver for surface mounted facility site permit to obtain a surface mount facility permit for a standalone personal wireless service facility. As required by the Public Works Code and Public Works Order 206-293, and as shown in Verizon Wireless signed affidavits, this notice was sent to persons owning or occupying property within 300 feet along either side of the proposed location, mailed to neighborhood associations within 300 feet, and posted in conspicuous places within 300 feet of either side of the proposed location. Public Works received protests to Verizon Wireless proposal. I'll be here if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. So if you received a protest, what is your procedure to consider that protest?
Oh, well, if we have a protest, we have a hearing. So, which is what we have now, to hear out the protests, people who are commenting that are objecting the proposal. And if they had submitted their comments and Verizon has responded to all the protesters, I mean, I'm assuming they are here right now in this hearing. So, you know, we can hear their comments.
So this is the protest hearing. Okay. All right. Is the property owner here or a representative that would like to speak? I'm seeing Melanie Sengupta.
Thank you. We're not the property owner, we're the permit applicant. Is that who you intended to call, or the protester who owns the property adjacent to the site?
I'll hear you first.
Okay. So we get 3 minutes, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, we had a different presentation planned for you today, but in light of a letter that we received yesterday evening, I'd like to respond to those comments and build upon Mr. Palacios's presentation. So the subject of this hearing is a waiver under Article 27. I think there's been some confusion as to whether this waiver is coming in under Article 27 or Article 25. Article 27 regulates surface-mounted facilities in the public right-of-way, and the proposed standalone pole is a surface-mounted facility because it's affixed above the surface of the street and requires excavation. In contrast, Article 25 contemplates only utility poles, wireless facilities on utility poles. Citing these facilities isn't an easy thing to do because there's so much public infrastructure in the public right-of-way. And Verizon has made every effort here to find the best location to place this pole. And to do so, we followed not only the criteria that's laid out in Order 206-293 and met all of that criteria, but as Mr. Palacios had said, this is, the location that works best for Verizon's network. These are low-powered, low-wattage facilities that only have a reach of about 500 feet. And so moving it behind trees or tall buildings or other obstructions far away from the target service area defeats the purpose of the wireless facility. The letter that was submitted last night on behalf of 2 of the protesters raised a few additional points arguing that Article 25 should apply rather than Article 27. And one of those points is that, Article 27 doesn't require the city's examination of radio frequency emissions. And that's wrong on the face of Order number 206-293. That is provided for not only in Section 10A and in the Exhibit E to the order, but also there are fees associated with it, and DPH reviews the RF emissions reports, and we'll go from there. They have raised 2 additional alternative sites in their letter as well, both of which are infeasible due to technical reasons. So the first one is infeasible because there is an existing signpost there. And in Exhibit A2, which are the siting criteria, number 7 says that any standalone pole has to be at least 24 inches away from an existing signpost. And here there isn't enough room on the sidewalk to allow for that. The second alternative that they've identified, we believe, is on or near 1411 York Street, is too far away for, this low-powered facility to reach the target objective. We have also met with the protesters. We submitted a letter to you yesterday summarizing that meeting. We looked at additional alternatives that they had proposed, and we are happy to continue to review any alternatives that they provide to us. But we believe that we have found, the only viable location in this area. I'm happy to answer any questions. We have an engineer here to answer any as well.
Okay, thank you. If you or Mr. Palacio could forward me those letters, I haven't received those before this hearing. That would be great. It would help me after this hearing to make my consideration.
Sure.
Hello, Leo, Public Works. So all the documents are located in the public hearing folder.
Okay, great.
For the order. But yeah, I would also send it to you also.
Okay. So I'd like to call on the property owner, Jasper Malcolmson.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes. Yeah, 3 minutes.
And are you able to see my video?
No, I do not.
All right, I don't know whether the video is off for some reason. Perhaps the video, for some reason, perhaps my video is turned off.
Okay.
I'll speak to it. I'm actually standing on the location right now, and I'll follow up with a photograph. If I'm standing in the location right now, and I'll send you an immediate photo, if you look directly up, and I could show you, it's directly into a wire. So Verizon's informed us that not having obstruction against electrical wire, and you can clearly see that the wire is running directly from an electrical connection to my house to electrical pole. It maximizes, it is running within, looks above me, maybe 2 feet from the wire. It's also nestled between 2 trees. So suboptimal from what Verizon has specifically described as criteria. The location that's on 14th Street is directly across from a pole that Verizon indicated was an eligible pole from an RF perspective in the document provided us. So alternative, and I'm sorry, but I could show you the video, is within a matter of feet of within 150 feet and directly across the street from a pole that Verizon in documents said to us would be an eligible pole for the placement. It's just not, furthermore, the alternative location that we proposed is better on all the criteria that Verizon described us. It's 20-foot sidewalks rather than 10-foot sidewalks. So would cause very significant less harm to the resident. Furthermore, it would not be directly in someone's window, and it's on wide, unobstructed with nothing overhead. So according to all the criteria that Verizon has described, it's a superior location. The claim that it would not work from an RF perspective is simply not credible, considering that Verizon indicated that the pole right across the street was a pole that would otherwise work in their original evaluation of potential poles, nor if you were standing on the corner, given how close the 2 possible locations are, it just doesn't pass the reasonableness test. I would further, so these are our issues. It appears to me that in interacting with Verizon that these issues were not considered in optimizing the best impact for the community. I would also like to note that we're asking for proper consideration of these factors because they were to us and we just received information around Verizon's consideration that we would like to seek a continuance. And I was informed that Verizon would not oppose this continuance. And I believe that Anna, who's representing Hillary Ronan's office, would also like to speak on behalf of the desire for a continuance so that the community impact could be properly considered. I don't know whether it's possible for you organized for Anna to speak now.
Yes, we can. Thank you so much for your testimony. I see Hannah Herrera's hand up. You can speak. You have 3 minutes.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good morning, Anna Herrera, Legislative Aide for Supervisor Hillary Ronan of District 9, where the constituents live. We tried to make this request earlier before you had to proceed with the hearing. So I'm disappointed that we already had to proceed with this because Verizon has been, meeting with the constituents, the protesters in this case, and my office, and had agreed to not object to a continuance if my office was able to request one. So if that is still possible, is that possible now to continue this hearing?
That could be a possibility. I'd like to hear what the department says, and I can make that determination after this hearing. Mr.
Okay.
Palacio, would like to, sorry, Ms. Herrera, is that all?
No, I mean, just to be clear, what we are requesting, and I appreciate that Verizon has made efforts to address the community's concerns in this case, the protesters, and has met with them and also agreed to not object to a continuance request that I am making right now to consider these alternatives and have these discussions in light of the fact that there is just no community process, no public hearing in these cases. So we have to rely on these communications and Verizon's goodwill to have these communications, which they've offered to have. So yes, I would like to hear from Mr. Palacios if the hearing can be continued for that to happen.
Okay, Mr. Palacio.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, Leo Palacios, Public Works. A continuance is available to, is something you could deem. I'm assuming that, everyone has to be in agreement with it. It sounds like, I would definitely speak to Verizon after myself, but if Verizon, and it sounds per the legislative aide and the commenters that Verizon is on board for a continuance. So I'm assuming if they agree to a continuance, then you could say, yeah, a continuance is warranted. But yeah, you have the power to continue the hearing. And I would recommend putting a date to the continuance just so we know when when I could register, when I could set up the next hearing.
Okay. Ms. Sengupta, do you have any objections to a continuance?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Ms. Herrera is correct that Verizon Wireless has been meeting with 2 of the neighbors. I believe that there were 9 protests filed in response to this application. And so if the other protesters are here, we would love to hear from them, but we do not object to a continuance of the hearing. If people have made the effort to be here today, I think we'd all like to hear from them since there were more protesters than just the 2 that are requesting the continuance. But we don't object to a continuance, as Ms. Herrera stated.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. So What I will do is after this hearing, I'd like to receive and read the protest, and I can get a quick determination after that of whether a continuance will occur. Does that work for you, Mr. Palacio?
Yeah, that works for me. Again, I just want to state that just if the continuance is warranted, we have a date for the next continuance, just so, because these take a while to set up. So yeah, that's fine. Just as long as we have a date for the next hearing to continue this item, that'd be great, just so I could set it up and get it going.
Okay. Thank you. I would like to provide a one more opportunity for public comment on this item before I close it. And I do see Ariel Strauss with their hand up, so I'd like to.
Thank you, Mr. Fan. I am counsel for the protesters who previously spoke, and I want to request a ruling in this hearing on the continuance, and just wish to point your attention to section 9F of the department's order, which does encourage the granting of continuance and also authorizes the continuance to be granted during the hearing itself or prior to the hearing if there is a potential to reach a settlement of the protest. So I don't see any need for a review of the filings, given that the intention here would be that regardless of what maybe the protest grounds were previously or other filings that have been submitted, the potential for a resolution and the agreement of the parties, or the no contest to that continuance, has already been stated in this hearing. Thank you.
Thank you. In that case, if I can make a, if I can grant the continuance at this time, I think that would be a good idea. Mr. Palacio and Ms. Sengupta, would the next open hearing date of July 13th provide you enough time to continue speaking with the property owner and the protesters?
As far as public works goes, that's no problem.
Okay.
Sorry, just to be clear, that's the first available hearing after today?
There are other hearing dates that are more geared toward tree removal and administrative citations. But maybe perhaps Mr. Palacio could make a request to be on those dates, but the next open hearing date is July 13th.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just looking at the calendar, and I guess the 4th of July holiday is in there as well, isn't it?
Yes.
So I guess we would request maybe the 29th, but if the 29th doesn't work, then we'll agree to the 13th.
I do not see that there is the July 27th. That's the next open one.
Oh, okay. I don't think that's enough time. Okay, we'll agree to July 13th.
July 27th, I said is open, which is.
Oh, no, I thought you said July 13th. Did you say June 27th or?
There's a July 13th and there's a July 27th.
Okay, so July 13th. I'm sorry, I thought you said June 27th.
Okay. So July 13th. Okay, we will continue this item July 13th. I'll make that tentative direction here, and I can make that official after this hearing. I would like to still receive and read the protest and make the determination final. All right. If there are no more public comments on this item, I will now close the item and make my recommendations to the director on the item.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fan.
That is all of our orders today. So I'm now officially closing this hearing. Thank you.
Thank you.